What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another edition of 27 and Q alongside that man right there, two-time Super Bowl champ, former New York great running back Brandon Jacobs. I'm Rich Quinones. Hope everyone had a good sports week and you're having a better Tuesday. A lot of stuff to kind of piggyback from last week, be boxing, college football. I know you were at that crazy Tennessee-Alabama game. My goodness, I saw the video. That looked like a ridiculous time entertaining fair. Classic game right there for college football. Boom. Don't blink. Don't look now. The Jets get a win. The Giants get a win at home again against the Baltimore Ravens, and the New York Football Giants are 5-1. The Jets are 4-2. Giants prep for, I think, a tricky spot on the road against Jacksonville. NBA slated to tip off tonight, and we'll get into a little bit of it tomorrow with some of your plays and your picks. But man, what a weekend! College football, NFL, and boxing.
Hey, one hell of a weekend. Lots of fights to talk about. Lots of fights to talk about. You know, some big names in boxing to talk about. Some what ifs. The Giants are 5-1. Jets are kicking ass. The Giants, everything is great. They got some great boxing coming up. Some fights, some key fights we can talk about. Of course, the Giants. And now listen, Rich, we're talking about the Giants. They are playing against the Jacksonville Jaguars coming up here in Jacksonville. They're on the road. They're on the road. This game bothers me for so many different reasons, right? You don't know which Jacksonville Jaguar team that you're going to get. And I've been talking so much crap about the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I've been openly talking crap. So I'm like sitting there like, I said, oh, this is about the team. And now they actually look pretty decent. And now they're getting ready to play my team. So we got to go kick their ass because I cannot see myself having to deal with.
That's a tricky spot, man.
It is.
Because, and I want to get your thoughts on this because I go back 2008 after you guys won the Super Bowl, and you guys, listen, you got behind the woodshed that Monday night game against Cleveland, and I think you wound up reeling off 7 or 8 straight. But I know it's a different squad, right? This is a young, quote, rebuilding team, new regime. You guys were coming off a Super Bowl win, and I'm not going to sit there and say feeling yourselves a little too much, but as a player, say you're in that Giants locker room now, how do you prevent that classic trap letdown? And it's funny because the line has moved in this game as well. I mean, it tells you Jacksonville is not a bad team, but the Giants are 5-1. And I still think even the odds makers look at them as not legit frauds, if you will, 2.5, 3-point dogs. But how does Dabo and company kind of keep everyone from, I guess, not reading the press clippings, so to speak?
Well, for us, man, that's all I could kind of speak of, just tunnel vision. Worry about your brother. You worry about the guy next to you, let the guy next to you worry about the guy next to him. And by the time we get to the end of the circle, we all going to be holding hands and going into battle together. At the end of the day, man, you just got to cut. You just got to cut. And I think the guys, I think that they've been doing pretty well as far as shutting the media off and not looking at what really happens around the league, and just focusing on the team. It's a lot of things that can come up that can set you up for a letdown. But this Giants team is still not getting the proper respect that I feel like they've gained, that they've earned. Like you said, it's still dogs, it's still underdogs. But even this weekend as a 5-1 team, I just think they go and continue to prepare and keep the why not us mode. Why not us?
That's a great point. You go back to that game on Sunday, and once again, it's weird because in years past, I think I said it with the game against Green Bay, in years past, when the team down 7, 10, 13 points, I'm like, done. They're down 10 in that game, and they had a couple opportunities to make some plays defensively, and then you get just and I want to get into this a little bit with you, the inexplicable decision by Jackson off the bad snap and then just chucking it up. They finally get that first pick. Love weaves down there. They get the touchdown from Saquon. Then they get the strip sack later. And then Saquon, in my estimation, does the smart thing.
He does. He does.
Running out the clock.
Listen, no, but people argue with me and they trying to make a debate as if I don't know. That is the smart thing to do.
Yeah.
Right? I know that.
Yeah.
I know that's a smart thing to do. You keep the ball. offensively, you keep the ball and don't give Lamar Jackson a chance to come back on, to come back on the field and try to score. So now you can only end the game in nils, like versus clock running out and physical play happening in between the two teams, right? I get that 100%, and I'm on board with what he did. But me as myself, I think I'm putting it in. I'm gonna tell my defense, bro, listen, y'all get paid to do this shit.
Yeah.
Y'all get paid to play defense. I might put us in a messed up spot. It's a 2-possession game. Go get a stop. You've been doing it all game. Go get a stop.
And you know what's funny though? This happened a couple of weeks ago. Jets in Cleveland, right? And Chubb goes in and when we did our show that week, 27 and Q, I even said to you, I mean, who's to say that you knew the defense was going to have a blown assignment and Flacco was going to hit the wide receiver for 70-something odd yards? They were getting the onside kick. So to your point, I get what you're saying. I thought it was a heady heads up play by Saquon, but the bigger picture, the bigger story is once again, they needed to make a couple stops. Daniel Jones led a couple of long touchdown drives. They were opportunistic with their defense, and you're seeing young kids to rookies, Love and Robinson and Johnson, and then KT Thibodeau making the strip sack. And quietly, Saquon's doing his thing, and Daniel Jones pretty much mistake-free football.
Mistake-free football.
Yeah, and they still don't have a number one. They still don't have a legit wide receiver. He's throwing to second and third and fourth string guys, and they're all contributing. To me, that's the mark of a good team. Now, do I think they're going to get exploited when they say play Dallas second time around, the Philadelphia Eagles? I think it'll ultimately come home to roost and maybe catch up with them. But hey, man, that's a big win against the Ravens at home. That stadium has not been that loud in a long time. They haven't won a lot of home games there, but you get to 5-1. And as you alluded to, you go on the road to Jacksonville and you try to take care of business.
Right. I mean, it's this week is a big time week for the Giants, and this is kind of at that, first, going into that second quarter of the season, where you got four quarters of the season, you're going into that second quarter of the season, and you got a chance to make some things happen, separate yourself a little bit and earn a little bit of respect, In last week's game, I'm gonna say this: Daniel Jones again, it's not the prettiest look as an offense, right? But guess what he's not doing, Rich? What I say every week, he's not beating the team. He's not getting the team beaten. He ain't turning the football over, and he's doing just enough to win, right? 19 for 27. And he had 173 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions.
Efficient.
Right. A light day on the ground for the league leading rusher. A light day on the ground, 22 for 83 with 1 touchdown. So with those type of numbers, I think is a little bit, below average. But if you're not turning it over, we can win like that. You can win football games like that all the time. The defense is playing good. They put pressure on Lamar Jackson, which we needed. I wish that same pressure they put on Jackson would have been put on Rush against Dallas, and maybe we can be undefeated right now.
Right.
And because other than that, I don't see anything big time that they did. They just didn't force him to make any mistakes. So coming into Jacksonville, you got a guy, Trevor Lawrence. We know he can sling it. He's a really good quarterback, young kid. Who's trying to find his way in the league with a really young team, if you ask me, who's trying to find their way in the league, who play really good defense. So we're going to have to be on our thing. You bring a lot of pressure. They give you a lot of crazy fronts. Coach Peterson, a great coach, and he's really trying to do something down in Jacksonville that hadn't been done with the team. So it's really be a good week of football and a good week of preparation should be for the Giants to be able to accept this challenge.
Yeah, agree. Last thing you want to do is stub the toe because they've got winnable games. But as you know, the NFL is so week to week, and we'll kind of dissect that game and break down from a betting standpoint tomorrow with some of these lines. But how about Jackson? And, we talked about this a couple weeks ago. You see those types of mistakes and you can sit there and say he's trying to do too much, but then you go back and say, all right, here's the good and here's the bad. Is this 200 million? Is this the direction we're going to go? And by the way, the quarterback play with some of your quote unquote future Hall of Famers, your MVPs, and your all pros, aside from Mahomes and say Allen, Brady, Rodgers, Jackson over the weekend.
Been inconsistent. From some of the top dogs that show up every week. Normally, You know, they've been inconsistent. NFL football has been inconsistent. You know, they got a couple of teams that scoring a lot of points. You know, but you know, at the end of the day, it's been mainly most games has ended with guys scoring 2 touchdowns and like 4 or 5 kicks.
Yeah, yeah,
That's not a
yeah.
lot of offense.
No, and we saw that Thursday night. Commanders get a ugly win under hits on that one against the Bears. How about Atlanta doubling up San Francisco? I think the injuries are starting to hit the 49ers at a bad time, but that's a hell of a job that Mariota and Atlanta has done. Both of those squads now find themselves 3-3. New England all over Cleveland, 38-15. The Jets with the big win against Green Bay. We'll get into Rodgers in a moment. Jacksonville loses to Indy, so they're looking to get that W against the Giants.
Mm-hmm.
Miami quarterback issues, Tua, we know that. You know, the Vikings, my Vikings, all of a sudden 5-1 with Captain Kirk. Here we go. Cincinnati over the Saints. Pittsburgh over Tampa Bay. I want to get into that. The Rams, no problem over Carolina. Seattle over Arizona, which was an ugly game. And then you had the Bills and Kansas City. We'll focus on that. Eagles get the big win over Dallas to improve to 6-0. Dak looks like he's going to be coming back. And then the Chargers against let him cook last night. Russell Wilson. My God, Wilson looks friggin' shot. They lose again. Chargers bump up their mark to 4-2. Denver to 2-4. Give me a game 2 or 3. One of your takeaways from Sunday that kind of stood out.
Well, I'm looking at the Jacksonville Jaguars versus the Colts, and if you look at the game, if you look at the game, it was a game for again, Jacksonville Jaguars. They, like with Trevor Lawrence, they were 20 for 22 for 165, 1 touchdown, ran the ball pretty decently. For them to go and have a letdown like this, I used to hate playing against teams the next week when they lost. You know,
they had that game. They had
it. They had it, so it hurts, and it was a high-scoring game.
Yeah.
You know, so not either one of the team defenses are lock solid. That's why I think we're going to go in and be able to score some points against Jacksonville. So that's one of the games that I paid attention to last week, just because it was the Giants' next opponent.
Just real quick on that, just to piggyback to your point, they had the lead late. Matt Ryan threw, I think, 50-something odd times for close to 389, 400 yards. You know, imagine if Daniel Jones had a couple weapons, no disrespect to some of these guys. This can be that game where maybe Jacksonville's given up about 250 in the air. Daniel Jones to throw for 235, 250. That's almost like Eli throwing for 360.
Right,
so
absolutely.
I kind of wanted to just wanted to make that point. But go ahead.
Yeah, so I mean, I've been watching that one. I've been paying attention to that one, and because knowing our next opponent. So that's one of the games that stick out to me. Another one that stuck out to me from this past week was Kansas City Buffalo.
Great game.
One hell of a football game. Patrick Mahomes showed up, played a great football game. Josh Allen played a great football game. It was a great football game to watch. 24-20. Josh Allen 27 for 40 with 329, 3 touchdowns, no turnovers. Great day for him. Great day for him. So, he's done really well with that. Patrick Mahomes, the only difference is with Patrick Mahomes, he was 25 for 40, where he had 338 yards with 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions.
And the last one late. Yeah.
Right. So, and they still, were there to win the football game at the end.
Yeah.
So those are 2 of the games that I looked at, that was pretty interesting games. The battle is the NFC Championship, the AFC Championship game from last year.
Divisional game. Yeah, that was the classic game before. Game. Yeah, they played.
So that's when I circled before it even happened. So, I don't know, they got to play, they can't turn up. Patrick Mahomes cannot have three, just him credit for 3 turnovers in this week, unless they're off.
But I think the league's starting to figure out some of these guys, right? You pressure, you don't like Jackson. When you pressure and there's no gap discipline, you can't allow him to escape the middle, roll him out. That's typically when he makes mistakes. Sometimes when guys like Murray, Mahomes, they kind of improvise, they're more prone to make some mistakes. I mean, for as great as Patrick Mahomes is, again, I still believe there's something to be said not having some of those weapons. A Cohen who's now in Miami. You take, Rodgers with what's his name? Adams, you take away these guys. Tom Brady, I wanted to get your thoughts on this. Tom Brady last weekend was at Kraft's wedding with a bunch of former Pats. He at this stage of his career, he'll miss practice during the week. We already know what's going on off the field. Man, if you're in that locker room and he's kind of ripping your ass on the sideline and reading you the riot act, are you kind of thinking to yourself, yo, man, like you have to be all in with us? Because if you're not all in, then I'm not gonna hear it. And to me, Tom Brady could have basically gave the Pats and the NFL the biggest FU when he went to Tampa, new system, first year, won it in his own stadium, and retired right there. So, like, as a player, when you see that, are you thinking to yourself, man, come on, man, take that somewhere else?
I agree. I'm always respect Tom Terrific for stuff he's done, right? But if you can't be here, we get you at the wedding. We understand that you run to the wedding and you bring your ass back. You don't miss nothing. It's people that people that do that all the time. Yeah. It's guys' wives sitting in the hospital having babies. They go to the birth and find their way back. They find their way back. Depending on the coach, you might give them some time off. But if you're not going to be 100% in, you got to watch the way you lead. You got to lead differently. You got to lead differently if you're going to do that. Now I know all Tom Brady probably knows leading, but you got to be in order to make people buy into what you're selling.
Do you also subscribe to this, that his teammates also should, I don't want to say be sympathetic, but maybe empathetic to what's going on and rally around him and understand that's just who he is? Or do you stay on this side of the fence where, look, man, if you're not all in, you're not all in?
Well, no, you got to pick a side. You got to pick a side, but you have to live by that side. You can't be on that side inconsistent. You can't be a leader, but you're not in with us, right? If you're going to be on the other side of the fence, don't play the leader route. Don't play the leader role, right? Play the guy on the other side of the fence that don't know whether you're going to come.
Yeah.
So then take care of your personal problems and let us get another guy ready to go play.
Yeah. I'm telling you, I think Brady, after this year, I think Russell Wilson's cooked. I look at Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers to me just mentally checked out, man. I have nothing to base it on, just for the body language. I feel as though he's already thinking about the end of the season, and this team's not. You know what I'm saying?
I picked him on my fantasy team this year, so kind of sucks.
Sorry to hear that, man. The other big story, I guess, the bombshell in the NFL is that apparently Daniel Snyder has all this dirt on a bunch of owners and Roger Goodell. I mean, come on, man. What's he going to tell me? Robert Kraft likes to go to massage parlors. That's not breaking news, folks. we got to know. I mean,
he's probably been there too.
Of it, but yeah, what do you hired your own private investigators? Like, here's a couple scenarios. And one of my buddies brought this up, and I thought it was actually a very good. I said, what do you think it could be? He goes, well, maybe it has something to do with gambling. I said, okay. Then he said, well, what if they're doing kickbacks from when they do all these, you give to money to, say, cancer research or breast cancer, and they do the ribbon. I said, okay, maybe that's something that can be a story. But other than that, like, what can he possibly have? Now, you have to have 24 of the owners vote to push him out. You have to have 24 of the owners. So Irsay came out today and almost insinuated that's a possibility. Jones, Jerry Jones has said some things. I mean, what do you think this is really all about? Is this sour grapes of Daniel Snyder just trying to muscle in a little bit here, or what?
Well, Dave Snyder, man, he's been in the different things in the workplace. He's been through some different stuff. With the whole, all the stuff they went through without having a name and then getting a name. And I guess they're not as good. I guess he's having some second thoughts about a whole lot of stuff. But I would think if he had something on all these different guys, it would be out already. As you say, it takes 24 owners to push a guy out. He can snitch on 11 to 12 of them and be just fine, I guess. But I don't think you have anything, that's worth going to be like, oh wow, because I don't know if information like that is to be shared or outside of the big mass email that they send that somebody might say something crazy here and there, but I don't really think you have anything
That's
because
another
if he
thing I was
did,
thinking, like Gruden with the racial over.
yeah, other than that, I don't think there's anything really to be talked about that's going to really shock us or make a big, push.
He said, quote, he stated he has enough secrets to, quote, blow up several other owners as well as Commissioner Roger Goodell. And then that's when Irsay came out today and basically said there's merit to basically get him the hell out of there. 24 potential votes to remain Snyder. And in midst of those controversies you mentioned in recent months, including 2009 accusations of sexual assault and whatnot, and all the culture with the Commanders and the
Right.
cheerleaders and stuff like that.
So my question is with this, Rich,
Yeah.
what will it do for him and his organization to come out with these secrets that can ruin everyone?
I think he
What
realized.
is it for him?
Yeah, I think it could be a I want my team, stay the hell away from me. Like, give me my team back. And if you don't, this is what I'm going to do. It's your classic. I'm going to take my ball and go home. But I don't know. You're right. I am not a fan of Roger Goodell. Roger Goodell makes the NFL money. And Roger Goodell works for the owners, and the owners pay his salary at the end of the day. He makes a substantial amount of money. Why? Because he makes the owners money. They're going to protect Goodell as much as he wants to protect the shield, right? So I just can't, I don't know, scathing emails, gambling, I don't know. It's purely speculation, but you're talking about a Washington franchise that was back in the day, it was a historic franchise, and now they're kind of the bottom feeders. Maybe he's doing it for a little press. I don't know, man. I think sometimes when you have someone that screams at the mountaintop and they're so adamant and they really truly believe in what they're saying, I think where there's smoke, there's fire. And I don't know, man, the way the league's gone over the last several years, who knows? It could be something. I'm curious to see what the hell it would be.
I don't know. I mean, I want him to come out with it. I want to see. I want to see what if he got something on like on his guys. Because in my mind, I mean, the Mara family, the Tisch family, the Giants, those guys can't do any wrong for me. So I want to know what he had, what he have if they're a part of something. Because I definitely can't see them being a part of nothing crazy. I don't know, man. If he had something, I'm pretty sure it would be out if it done something for him. It doesn't do him any good to put that stuff out.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Well, hey, listen, we'll see. How they respond. They lose Carson Wentz. That kid Heineke is going to start. Wentz had the fractured finger in his throwing hand. Seems like that offense plays better when they go to the backup. They got to win a couple ball games because I think Rivera's on the hot seat. I think Hackett's on the hot seat. Staley's on the hot seat. The two that aren't right now is Robert Saleh, who basically said to the media, "I'm keeping receipts." And now the Jets have backed it up, and Dayball, that thus far has kind of been the toast of the town in the NFL. So we got a lot of these games to dissect tomorrow. We'll do some of the betting lines from our buddies over at spookyexpress.com. But you mentioned big weekend this past weekend for boxing, right? Female fights with Clarissa Shields, and then we saw Bumgarner and Mayer, and we saw Haney and Kambosos and Wilder, welcome back, and then planning Darrell. I mean, I don't know, we'll get into 168, but let's talk a little bit about I think Haney and Kambosos first, which quite frankly, I thought it was going to go the route of the first fight, to be quite honest with you. I didn't see anything kind of different, although, Haney was engaged and got the jab going and stood in front of Kambosos, beat him up. It was 119-110. That's how I scored it. So your thoughts on on the performance of Haney. I don't think he's sexy, but I think he's a skilled boxer, and I appreciate it. To some, it's not aesthetically pleasing, but I think the kid did what you need to do. You go in there and you handle your business.
Absolutely. I think Devin went in and did what he was supposed to do. He kind of felt Kambosos out the first couple of rounds and started doing some boxing. And as you see, Kambosos came out really aggressive. I think he came out aggressive. He was trying to get him out of there. Because he felt like Devin didn't have enough pop, and you can see his fighting style and what he went to. On Saturday night, that's what it was. That's what he had in the back of his head. If he catch me, he catch me. It ain't gonna be enough to put me down, so I got to go forward. Devin took that pretty well and started boxing and moving around and countering, and he looked great from I would say the third round, fourth round, all the way to the end. He looked really, really good.
Yeah.
I don't see much for him. I definitely believe he should leave the division. He's a champion. He's done what he needed to do. I don't know. I don't see much more. I wouldn't put Devin in the ring with a guy like Tank, if it makes sense, who has good boxing skills and really strong, right? Not saying that he can't beat him, because anything can happen. Then you got Shakur Stevenson, who I think should still move up as well and skip 35. You got Lomo getting ready to fight here this weekend. What is Lomo? He's fought. He's fighting in between. Who you got? Garcia coming up here.
He's got Ortiz coming up.
He got Ortiz coming up here.
29th of October.
So there's a lot of good fights out there. There's a lot of good fights out there. But like I said, I don't know where we go at right now for Haney in 35 at this point.
I think the fight's against Loma.
I think the fight is against Loma as well. I really believe that. So Loma doesn't have a whole bunch of crazy pop. I think that'd be a good. I think that'd be a good matchup for him. To be honest with you, him or Shakur. I'll put them two in the ring. I think that'd be a good fight.
So two thoughts with that's assuming that Lomachenko cruises past Ortiz, which by all accounts he should. I think you get that ring IQ, the ring acumen, the jab, the movement with Haney against a guy in Loma that can create space, distance, moving around, come in at different angles. To me, that's the fight. Now, if you're saying, hey, bypass 135 and eventually go to 140, then I would think of a fight against Teofimo Lopez at 140.
Now, Lopez I'm a huge fan of Lopez. Pop.
Yeah.
He can box. He's fast, good movement, very athletic in the ring. I got him at the top of the 140, dude, at the top of junior welterweight right now. I got him being the best 140-pound fighter out there.
See, Haney can't stay at 135. He was beyond sucked in. He can't.
And he's a champion. He has a division.
Yeah.
What else is there to do? Vacate those belts for the guys who's out there. Move up to 40 and fight.
Yeah. I agree.
It just looked like he did. He was well energetic in the ring. So we can't tell by the weight, that he don't have any, because he was well energetic in the ring. But if you're gonna add pop, you got to get in the weight room, which also add weight and pound, which will also make it even more hard for him to make 35. He needs some pop. Boxing skills are second to none, but he needs some pop.
You said the same thing about Shakur. Put a little weight on the frame, right? Put a little weight on the frame.
But put a little weight on the frame. Well, you go ahead and fight at 40, and then you weigh in a day before the fight.
Hydrated up.
138. Like that, and you nice and strong. Put on some weights and muscle, and you can, and you got some room to move around and kind of make adjustments to your style.
Yep. No, I agree. Midway through 27 and Q alongside that man, two-time Super Bowl champ, Brandon Jacobs. Rich Quinones here. Don't forget, subscribe to the YouTube channel 27 and Q podcast, where podcasts are all found: Apple, Spotify, Amazon. We saw Wilder, and I was texting you Saturday. I was like, this is ridiculous. I wanted to throw a couple shekels on there. It was like 100 to win $125. When I went up to the window, I was like, you know what? Scratch that. So I sprinkled a little on Darrell. We'll get into that in a moment. But By the way, there's this theory out, right? There's a theory that Helena's basically let it be known that he was going to quote, I guess, fulfill the script that the networks wanted, and that was to get knocked out on his ass in round one. There's actually a writer, media guy going around saying that's his theory, which I think is utterly ridiculous because you saw Wilder afterwards, post-fight, kind of embrace him. Those two know each other. They're friends. There's an admiration. They were sparring partners. But Wilder, hey, man, that right hand, we talked about it. Boom, here you go. Say goodnight, vaya con Dios. And he's got that power, but he still must watch, right? He still
must watch because of the power.
Yeah.
You know, like usually he must watch because he has a lot of power and he might get caught as well.
Sure.
He might get caught a wide looping, throw a wide looping shot. Sometimes the guy come right down the middle, catch one, which is also, like I said, exciting to watch. But, you know, Deontay Wilder has great skills. He coming into this fight training, I've been paying attention to the training, like, you know, him on the pads, moving around. He looked awesome, like training. I wish we could have saw the fight a little longer, you know, just to see it play out. But I think Wilder is, and if I'm him, I'm not going for nobody but Fury. I'm sorry. I mean, Usyk, I mean, he's going to beat all the rest of the heavyweights. I'm talking about cruise through all the rest of the heavyweights. Well, and I don't think it'll be close. I think he should go and try to get the fourth fight with Fury.
So it's rumored, it hasn't been finalized, that Chisora and Fury will fight December 3rd in London.
Who?
Derek Chisora.
Oh, okay.
December 3rd, which will be ESPN Plus in London. So it's floating around, and it looks like that's pretty much going to be finalized. And the reason I bring this up is because everyone was saying, okay, Wilder can rip through any heavyweight right now except Fury. He's never fought Andy Ruiz Jr. That's a name you got to throw out, right? I mean, you're talking about what's it, 3 of the 4 or former, right, champ, Joshua, Usyk, right? Usyk holds what, 3 of the 4 major
3 of the 4 belts.
Yeah, so you know, Joshua's was Matchroom. I don't know. I feel as though we're getting to this point where I'm running out of guys to fight, if that makes sense. Like who else is there, right? Okay, if you fight a 4th time against Fury, you had 2 losses and a split draw. Like what makes anyone think a 4th fight would be any different? I mean, and those were all good fights, don't get me wrong, right? But and controversial, I don't know, a 4th.
I like Fury, and you know I love Tyson Fury. You know that, but I think a fight with Deontay Wilder can go either way.
Okay.
I think a fight with Deontay Wilder can go either way. He has what it takes to match him. Deontay Wilder is 6'7", got speed, got long reach. You know, is a strong puncher. It's just a matter of fact. Well, it's just a matter of if he's going to be in tip-top shape, you know, or not.
Yeah.
So I think that's a fight I would definitely spend $75 to watch on pay-per-view.
Do you think we look at Wilder differently because he pushed Fury, like from a legacy standpoint? You know, do we look at him and say, well, this is the guy that, you know, really pushed him?
Oh, yeah. Deontay Wilder is a great fighter. Deontay Wilder is a guy like myself. Like, I see myself fight. If I was a fighter, that would be my style, Wilder's style, right? But I would be with a lot of, you know, counters and moving the ring, which he's starting to do now. Usually he was just standing in concrete, throwing big hard rocks and landing them, right? Now he's moving around and showing his athletic ability. He's showing his athletic, his ability, his boxing skills. And I think with that flavor, I think you have a chance to beat Tyson Fury. And you know how I am, when it comes to Fury, I think he's the best. And I think Wilder can be right there with him. There's
also a reason he picked Helena's, right? There's a familiarity. That's a sparring partner. So, but to your point, let me see Wilder fight on his back foot a little bit. Let me see him retreat. I'm thinking
retreat and counter.
Yeah. Retreat a little bit. But to your point that I don't know, Andy Ruiz, I don't know how much of a big test. He looked good. Wilder did. So we'll kind of see how that plays out. And then you had Plant against Darrell. We spoke to Darrell. I didn't realize this. I had to go back, and he methodically broke him down. He did. He methodically broke him down. I think there was a couple moments in that fight where Anthony caught him. I wasn't aware of kind of, a lot of the comments leading up to the fight, so to speak. I went back. I mean, we had him. If I would have known that, I would have asked him about it at the time. Caleb Plant's a good fighter. I'm not taking anything away from that. But, man, I did not have to see that bullshit digging a ditch. You knocked the dude out flat cold. Like, that's your revenge, right? For all the talk and Darrell saying, I'm not going to get beat by this white boy and this and that. You watch Wilder hug Helenius and post-fight get upset because he realizes, I could have hurt this guy. He's got a family. And then you watch Plant pretend to dig a ditch. I'm sorry, man. And I know people were getting on me on Twitter saying, oh, come on, don't be so soft. I thought it was friggin' classless. I do, because, here's a dude that was pretty much in tears when he fought Canelo. So, like, come on, man. But that was me on my soapbox. Now I'm off of it.
Well, there was a lot said, leading up to the fight with Darrell Plant. There was a lot said. I get where you're coming from on sportsmanship and, boxing being what it is. You can't play the sport. You can't. It's not something that you can play. Guys' lives are on the line every day when they do this. I'm not going to say classless, Rich. I can't say that because I've done some things to people where said, ran some people over and talked about it.
That's running people over and they're getting back up the next play. You're talking about a guy that got knocked on his back and was out.
Mm-hmm. I get where you're coming from. Yeah, it could have been a little bit. It could have been avoided what he did and just went back to the corner. But he was celebrating because I don't think he really believed with the stuff he was saying about him winning the fight. So I think that's a part of it. He won the fight that he probably didn't think he can really pull off.
Yeah.
And I think that's where a lot of it came from. But things happen. You got guys in boxing, you got guys in football, basketball. A lot of guys do some crazy shit, man.
So right now, WBC #1 ranked fighter. Look, man, where does he go? Where does Caleb Plant go? Because to me, the only fight is against Benavidez. That's it, right? If Canelo doesn't surrender the belts,
you have what's his name?
Alvarez holds all the belts.
No, he does, but I think it's a fighter.
Charlo?
No, Andrade.
Boo Andrade? Yes. Yeah. Trying to get Demetrius on the show as well as we speak. I
think I want to see him in there. I want to see him in the mix with, with people, with fighters, and because I think he can. I think he can swing his way, like up to the top, but not a lot of people willing to jump in there.
He's going to move up to 168 because he wants to fight Plant. So he's got skill, man. No doubt. It's just I don't know if he backs out of these fights or if they don't go through or they don't fall through. I mean, people were saying that he's ducked a couple fights here and there. But again, man, I don't know. If you go to 168, right now, follow me on this one: Charlo, Plant, Benavidez. Yep. Trying to think who else. Those are the guys you want to fight. Those are the guys that you want to take on.
Right. He's been out November 19th to make a year.
Yeah.
He's been out of the ring.
It's a long time.
Yeah, it is a long time, man. But I think, he's still a pretty young fighter. I think he's a pretty young guy. I think the age of 33, 34 years old. I don't know, man. Going up to 60, I think he can compete in 66. I think he can beat every one of them fighters. I think him and Charlo would be a banger.
That would be a good fight.
That would be a banger. Yeah. I would love to see that fight. That's another one that I would have to attend. Like the Spence Crawford fight. I will look at the Rodgers and Brady fight. And
yeah, I got
and
breaking news
Charlo.
on Spence for you. I got breaking news right here on 27 Q. That fight's not happening anytime soon.
Is
It's
that the
just not.
news you're breaking? Or are you telling me why?
I just believe that they're never going to come to an agreement. They're not going to agree on the split. They're not going to agree on there's something not being said about the inner workings of those negotiations, which I totally understand. I
Who
don't
do you
think
think it is, though? Who do you think it is? What side do you think it is keeping
if
this
you
from happening?
if backed in a corner, gun to my head, man, I think it's Spence's camp.
I think so too, because I was told by a very credible source that Terrence agreed on everything except the rematch clause.
The rematch clause.
He agreed on everything. They said the winner of the rematch should get a 70-30 split. Now, that's not cool because the first fight is a 60-40 split, right?
Right.
Now, the winner deserved to get more. Like obviously, man, it's going to be on paper who won the fight, who won the first fight. But a 70-30 split is just not the thing. So I think Errol's camp was throwing stuff at Terrence to get him not to accept the fight and not to accept the clauses that they're put in. And meanwhile, Terrence don't care about the rematch. He want to get this one over. He want to get in the ring this time.
Yeah. It's tough, man. Yankees are an out away from getting rid of the Guardians and going to the ALCS against the Houston Astros. Just wanted to throw that out there. Have to get my Yankees point in there. Yeah, I agree with you. It's going to be interesting, but I mean, you got to think about it, right? You got so many suits, so to speak. You got a lot of hands in the cookie jar. You got a lot of spoons in the stew. And typically with negotiations, I mean, you understand this when you were negotiating contracts, right? I mean, does anyone really walk away 100% happy? There's got to be a little, right?
No, nobody walk away. There's only one person I've seen so far that walk away 100% happy. That was Deshaun Watson. Shit, he already got fined half the money he made.
Well, Stafford got that big deal. Remember when he got drafted, $65 million guaranteed.
Guaranteed, right? Yeah. So I mean, we'll see. I mean,
well, actually, I stand corrected. Russell Wilson with his 240.
Oh, he's happy. Yeah, that son of a bitch is happy too.
Wow,
he's happy too. And his wife's hot. He got the money. And he got a hot wife.
Yeah, but now he's got a bum shoulder and a banged up hamstring, and his offense can't score muster more than 20 points.
And guess what?
He don't care.
At the end of the day, he still got his contract and he still got a hot wife. So he's shoulders hurt. We're going to sit this one out a little bit. I'm going to sit in the box with the wife and watch this.
Rodgers, Brady, Wilson. These guys you're seeing it, man. Now it's new gunslingers in town, man. Burrow, Hurts, Allen, Mahomes, Herbert. It's you're starting to see, man, the changing of the guard. And at least with Brady, man, that guy's gonna go out guns blazing, right? He's gonna go out guns blazing. Like, man, get the firing squad. I'm going out. Rodgers is a little more spiritual, a little smoking, a little joking. Yeah, a little more calmer. Wilson with his, what is it? Ride Bronco, whatever the frig they say out there. It's like, dude, come on, man. You're such a friggin' fraud. Like, honestly, don't give me this shit. You are such a friggin' fraud. Your teammates are turning their back on you. You're looking at some of these guys. You're banged up. You're not producing. And it looks like Seattle friggin' fleeced them. And it looks like Pete Carroll is a friggin' genius.
Again, I think Russell Wilson is okay. I don't know what's happening over there right now. With him in Denver. You call it being a part of a whole new regime, as different management, like different teammates, and so on and so forth. Scheme doesn't change in the NFL. They all run the same thing. It's just different wording. It's just different verbiage. So I'm not really sure what the problem is over there in Denver. I mean, he is running for his life as well. So the offensive line is not that.
But he put up numbers when no Marshawn Lynch and he was getting sacked. He was still putting up numbers. it reminds me of a fighter that thinks they have one more fight left in them, and they get old overnight. And we've seen it.
That happened to me. I felt like I got old overnight. Like I went into the season in 2012 after coming from San Fran with the knee injury, and I was like getting my knee drained every week to play, and I'm like, this shit is not it. I feel like I'm stealing money and I'm supposed to be in like some nursing home or something like that. I feel like I'm old and just washed up and just done.
Running back position, man.
So I was like, yeah, this is it for me. So I was like, I went and got my surgery. I'm like, yeah, this is it for me.
Hey, the heart can be there, the mind can be there, but sometimes the body does not want to
I
cooperate.
didn't have nothing there at that point.
What, you're admitting that?
All of my teammates I got drafted with and was there, won the Super Bowls with. A lot of them guys were gone. Ahmad wasn't there. I had David Wilson, who was hurt. I think
Yep.
Andre Brown.
Yep.
Was, Andre was there on the Super Bowl, but offensive line was a little different. I had no
Hakeem
Dave
and
there.
Mario.
You know what I mean? So I didn't really have, you know what I'm saying? Well, I think I did have Dave. So, a couple guys, no Sean O'Hara, no Richie Sawyer. It was just different, man. And, Eli was Eli, obviously. But it was just kind of different, man. Yeah, it had some new people in town, and it was just different. I didn't really love it. But I love the Giants. So I played my last year out and it was done. It wasn't enough love in it for me to stick around for that extra 10th year, which I wanted to, but it was just that much in me to say, just be done.
Yeah, because you're right. Your pride takes over, but then would you want to be a shell of that running back? A shell of that player?
Yeah.
Right? You want to. I mean, I get it. I can appreciate that warrior and that competitiveness, and it's tough, man. I mean, and as a fan, I always hated watching guys that I had tremendous respect and admiration for as players, like yourself, like Ahmad, Hakeem, Justin. It killed me to see you guys in other uniforms. I was just like, it's almost as though you were all dead to me, but I understood.
Mm-hmm.
I understood the business side of it and how things change. And hey, you want to go make your money or try different changes here. It was tough, man. As a fan, it was tough to watch. But then I look back and I'm like, hey, these guys gave the fan base 2 Super Bowls, 2 great runs. So I got over it real quick, my saltiness.
Well, I mean, it was something, it was my departure from the Giants were planned.
Yeah, you're saying that.
I've had it, and I've talked on here,
Yep.
On the show about it once before. So, I mean, Jerry Reese held his word and let me come back and play the season and retire, It was cool in San Francisco, but it just never fit me. Yeah, I didn't feel like I never fit in with the team.
Yeah.
I never fit in with what they had going on. And I had Mario, with me, which Mario felt like he never really fit in either. But it was just it's something that happened throughout my career that I probably, wouldn't do again if I had the opportunity. I probably stay in New York for those final 2 years and just play on one team and be done. So the decisions were made. I learned from everything. I met some people. I gained some great resources by being over there that's able to help me grow, financially and get some things done. So playing in New York, as I met over there in the Bay Area, it ended up being really good for me. So
that's great stuff with the last word to close it out. Always interesting stuff. And like I said, my saltiness lasted, about 6 months. So,
that's a long ass time, man. It's a long time.
I told you, like an elephant, we don't forget.
Yeah.
All right, tomorrow we'll get into this weekend's actions. NBA tomorrow with your Lakers. I don't even want the Lakers nonsense. We'll get
Listen,
into that.
I'm not a Laker fan, right?
I know.
Fan.
Tip off tonight against Golden State.
Yeah, I just want to see Westbrook get him a ring, man. It's time. People can't hold the BS over his head because he don't have a ring.
Well,
I just want him to get a ring.
I'm going to give you a I'll give you some of my plays tomorrow night. We'll kind of look at the Eastern Conference, Western Conference, a little more boxing talk, trying to get another fighter or two on tomorrow, working on a couple different things. And we'll go deep into the NFL as always. So we want to appreciate everyone keeping us locked in. 27Q YouTube channel is growing. The podcast, the downloads are growing. And as always, say what you got to say, big man.
Hey, man, listen, keep listening. 27Q, we're going to bring you everything we can possibly bring you here. Might make you cry, might make you smile, but you're going to keep coming back for more. That's our plan. So, 27Q, we love you. The holidays are coming up. Have good humanities. Please, thank you. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. Yes, sir. No, sir. Hold the door open when they drop, drop. Hey, look, you drop it. Live up here. Live up here. Not down there. Everybody should live up here. Treat everybody with respect. I love you all. Make sure you watch out for some good 27Q.
That's what happens when I give them the last word. Everyone have a good sports Tuesday for the two-time Super Bowl champ.
Yes, sir.
New York, great running back. Number 27, Brandon Jacobs. I'm Rich Quinones. We'll talk to you tomorrow. As always, have a good night.
Yes, sir.